Good morning, everyone. So this is going to be the first video assignment for my T group, TEA, Technology, Engineering, and Art group. We're going to be, I'm going to show you what what SketchUp is, kind of what the program looks like, and then we will move on to the assignment part of the video. So for right now, in the beginning, I'm just going to click on SketchUp 2017, which you guys should all have on your desktops right now. And then I clicked at the bottom where it said open the program. Okay. First of all, I'm going to go up here to the tool button. Oh, no, the draw, where is it? Where is it? There it is, under the view button, toolbars, and I'm going to choose the large tool set, get rid of the getting started thing, so that I have a larger bank of tools over here. I'm not 100% sure whether you can see all these tools down here. I'm going to move that bar. See if I can move that bar over here. I don't usually see it over there, so that might get confusing for me later on. It's not usually over there, it's usually over here. All right, so what is this program here? This program is a tool that I use to design things, and students at Centerville have been using for the last 10 years plus to design their projects. When I went to college, and earlier than that, when I was in high school, and even after college, while I was becoming a teacher and all that time, I would really love to have had a program like this, but there were three reasons why I couldn't have a program like this, or at least I thought that I couldn't have a program like this. One of them was that it was a really expensive program. It's like $1,000 to buy a license for a program like this. Second of all, Second of all, you needed to have a computer that could handle it, which was like needed a lot of power, and most computers at that time couldn't handle that kind of power. And thirdly, at least I believed, you had to go take a college class to learn how to use it. You didn't have YouTube back then to show you how to do complicated stuff. You just had to go take a college class to learn how to use it. About 12 years ago, one of my students' parents was there at the school, and he asked me about this program, which is, as you've all noticed, free to download. At the time, it was working on my old janky laptop that I had sitting around my classroom, so that's two things done. And number three, it proved really easy to use and it was very user friendly. It was easy to understand. I had a student at one point who came to me and said, "Mr. Olson, I want to make this chair." And I looked at his drawing and thought, "Wow, this kid's pretty good. It's a really pretty good looking drawing." Uh, but it's too complicated for the drawing, and I don't really understand everything that he's drawing on here. So I said to him at the time, I said, he was in seventh grade, I said, "How about you go home and learn this program, SketchUp, and come back and see me when you've got this chair worked out on SketchUp?" And he came back the next day and had created this entirely very complicated drawing or creation of a chair. And it just clicked in my head that my students were definitely going to be able to use this program. This is a very useful program. So what I'm going to do first here is I'm going to create the bookshelf that we're doing in class right now. I'm going to reach up here and grab a rectangle. You should not be following along right now, because right now I'm just trying to kind of show you it working. You should just kind of sit back and kind of watch this and kind of get an idea of what I'm doing here. And I will teach you how to do all this stuff in the future as we move forward. So you shouldn't be trying to do this while I'm doing this. Okay, that is 5 inches by 15. Now I just typed 5 comma 15 at the bottom of the screen. You can see it says that. I did not click on that area. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to tell you everything I'm doing because there'll be time for that later. Gave that some thickness. So now this is 3/4 inch thick, 5 inches wide, 15 inches long. I'm going to take a tape measure and I'm going to measure over 3/4 of an inch on both sides actually. I'm going to put a round over on one side, and I'm going to draw a line across the other side. I'm going to use the push-pull tool to push that across. I'm going to take a moment just because I can. And I'm going to erase that, which is different than deleting it. Which, once again, you shouldn't be trying to follow along, because if you do, you're going to find this very difficult to do. All right, so that's, if you guys get back to class, those of you in woodshop, this is what you'll be doing with your 15-inch board. And you also have a board that is 5.5 inches tall. And that board is going to be cut into, using a scroll saw, you're going to be cutting it into a letter, which I will do a letter A here. Let's do that instead. Once again, please do not try to do this while I'm doing this. It's not really what the purpose of what I'm doing right now is. I'm just trying to show you what it is we're talking about here and what it is we're going to be doing as we move forward here. You are not expected, if this is scaring you right now, it shouldn't be. It's going to be just fine. It's actually a lot easier to use than you may be imagining right now. And hopefully you'll find it enjoyable, and you can use this to redesign your bedroom or make different things around the house that you might want to design and figure out. You may also use this in the future and for other endeavors in school. Okay, now I've made that thing a letter A. I'm going to get rid of all these lines. And now I'm going to put a foot on it, because you guys have your 2-inch piece. Which is also about 3/4 of an inch thick. Once again, really hope you're not trying to follow along with me, because what I'll be having you today will be much simpler. All right, so there's basically what you're going to be making in my class. There are some dowels that go in here that I'm not going to bother with right now, although I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. There's basically the bookshelf that you would be making in my class if you're taking woodshop right now. Okay, so let's Control Z all the way back to the beginning. I'm just going to File, New. Put myself back into that kind of position there. All right, so that's basically what we're talking about. We're talking about a program that we can use to design and create, and it's called Sketchup for a reason. It is really nice to be able to adjust and change and tweak things and rethink things and make differences and go, you know what, I think I should make that bigger or that smaller, and it's really easy to adjust, much easier than some other CAD programs that are out there. That doesn't disvalue the other CAD programs. While I'm teaching you SketchUp, or the basics of SketchUp, and we'll see how long this shelter in place lasts. I'm not sure how long he'll be doing this. And at some point, we're going to want to switch over to some other programs so you don't just get bored with this one. Just get you really excited. I expect that when at some point when I've done quite a bit of SketchUp and you guys have learned a fair bit about SketchUp, I'm going to switch over to a program called Tinkercad. And when you do Tinkercad, I'm hoping that you'll be able to create things, email them to me. I will 3D print them for you, and then I can try to find someplace in the community that will hold them for you so you can go pick them up. That's a thought that I have going in my head. I also have a laser cutter, and with laser cutter we can cut some things using SketchUp. If you watch the YouTube video where I create a box, that's a laser cut box. We use SketchUp on that as well. So there's lots of things we can do in the future, and this can get really cool. At some point we can do some 3D printing and some other things. And we can figure out a way to get these things back to you, or we can just hold on to them until you get back to school. All right, so I have a packet that I've been having my students do over the years, and I'm going to start out by walking you through the packet. And on occasion, we're going to save the file. We're going to name the file and then save the file. And then when we're done with this video, you're going to put all of those different saved versions of this onto into your Google Drive so I can take a look at it. All right, so step one. Actually, in the beginning, I'm just going to have you doing screenshots because I don't want to, because it's a lot easier for me to look at a screenshot than to open the program, have you send, so don't send me a SketchUp file. Don't come up here to the top and go file, save as, and then send me that file because it's going to take, I have to open the file, wait for it to open, check out your work, and then close your file, and then go to the next person. And that, let's say that takes me 3 or 4 minutes. You multiply that times 150 students, that is a lot of time. So it's a lot easier if for some of these things, I'm just going to have you take photographs, snapshots of your screen, and then I can determine whether or not that you've done your job right or not. All right, so let's see. First thing I want you to know is I want you to, and this is, once again, this is just some background information. Well, actually, this is me starting to teach you something. Okay, so we have an object here. Now, there are 3 tools over here, which there are buttons for. This one right here is a zoom tool. Okay. Now, I want you to notice, basically, I just put the magnifying glass somewhere, and I push the left button, and I move forward, and it zooms kind of generally speaking. It doesn't zoom in any specific spot. It just zooms. This one right here will allow me to move around my object. That's called the orbit tool. This one right here allows me to drag kind of left and right. Now, if I push the space bar, it goes back to the select tool. That's actually something I learned this year from my son. I didn't know that. All right. Now I can access all 3 of those tools, the zoom, the orbit, and the pan, without clicking on any of those things. So let's imagine I was pulling on something here, and I wanted to orbit. In order to do that, I'm going to push down on my scroll wheel mouse, and you'll see that the orbit tool, or the push-pull tool there, turns into an orbit icon. And then I let go of the scroll wheel, and it goes back to this. So I could go over here, pull that out, go over here, pull that out, pull that up. Oh, I want to pull the back side. I can do that. I can also zoom into, this allows me to zoom into a very specific spot. I just put my mouse somewhere, and I'm zooming, and it zooms where my mouse is, where whatever tool I have. I can put my tool wherever I want, like I want to zoom in on that corner, and I can use the scroll wheel to zoom in. Okay, in that corner over there, so zoom in. So I'm using my scroll wheel. I'm rolling my wheel on my mouse to zoom in on a specific spot, which is far better than over here where it kind of just randomly zooms wherever it feels like random zooming. Now, I'm going to space bar. Now, if I push down on the scroll wheel, you'll see the orbit tool. If I hold the shift key while I'm doing it, it pans. So I hold down on the scroll wheel, so I get the orbit thing, and then I hold the shift key to pan. So I can orbit, pan, and zoom all without losing my tool. So let's say I had this is a scale tool, and I don't want to go. I want to be scaling something, but I want to look at the other side. I can orbit around and go around without getting rid of my tool. I can also pan over if I need to. This is a very useful thing to learn. I just controlled Z back to nothing. All right. Now let's see. I believe this is how we generally start. This is what you should be seeing when you open up something like that. All right. First thing I'm going to be teaching you, other than that little trick to help you along, the first tool I'm going to show you is the line tool, which is this little pencil over here. Click on that. Line tool allows me to draw lines. So I clicked just there. If I move this direction, it turns green. Okay? You'll notice over here on the left-hand side of my screen, actually it's behind my image most likely. Let's zoom out. you can see that green line. It's basically like X, Y, and Z axis. It's saying it's parallel to that green line. Okay? If I move over this way, it'll turn red, and it's parallel with this red line right there. If I do this, it's blue, telling me it's basically like the Z axis. It's going up. It's kind of X, Y, and Z. In fact, if I go to camera, standard views, top, it'll be looking straight down at it. And you can see everything going over this way is red, everything going up this way is green. Okay? So, red, green, blue. Now this is useful. File, new. Okay, it's actually that way. I thought so. See the green's over there and the red's over there. This is the way your thing starts when you just open it up. Now, that's useful because it allows me to have 90-degree angles at all times. See, these things are all either red or green, which means that all my lines are either in the X direction or the Y direction, which allows me to work in 90-degree angles, which most of the time you're working on these programs, you get 90-degree angles, or you want 90-degree angles. You're designing something. Typically, you want to be going 90 degrees to the left and so forth. Now, I've got a problem here. How do I solve this problem? I want to line this up with that line over there, the one above me to the right, which I can't really point to without fixing this problem. See, I'm trying to move this over, and I want it to line up with that line directly ahead of me right there, which I don't know if you can see because of my face. I'm trying to get this to line up with that, and I don't know, and I can't do that. So there is a lovely way to do this, and the answer is called inferencing. Inferencing is SketchUp's way of trying to help you to do things accurately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pencil, and I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to wait. I think it tells me 2 seconds. You wait at least 2 seconds, and then that will line this up for you. See? It just lined it up. I don't know if I can see that or not. Oh, it's a very light green line there. But you can also see the dot. So now if I click there and I click there, you'll find that this, as I take a protractor out here, is a 92.9. It did not work correctly. Let me fix that again. Let me try that again. So I click here, go here. Still doesn't look right. Wonder if I made a mistake somewhere along the way here. That's 90. Click, click. Oh, that's also 90. Yeah, I had made a mistake, but there I resolved it. Get rid of that line. I erased that. Okay. So let's do that again. This object down here, I would say that this object is in the red-green plane. It's a plane. It's the red-green plane. All the lines that I drew on there are either red or green. If I take the scroll or the orbit tool and I do this, then it becomes easier to do something in the blue-green plane. See how that's red? That's because if I click there, you'll see what's going on. Oops, that's not what I was trying to do. I just Control Z. So if I stick with blue, green, blue, green, blue, and then I come over here, and I go here, and I come up to there, and I line that up nicely. Then I end up with a shape in my blue-green plane, and they're all 90-degree angles because of that last inferencing thing I did. If I rotate around this way, I can do one in the blue-red plane. Hovering for 2 seconds, moving across till that turns blue, and there we go. So now I've got a shape, which is what your first assignment's going to be, is I have a shape. I want you right like this. I want you to put this about like this. I want a shape in the blue-red plane. I want a shape in the blue-green plane. And I want a shape in the red-green plane. And I want them to all have 90-degree angles, which means I want you to know how to use and have practiced and figured out how to use the inferencing tool to be able to create that last 90-degree angle. Okay? Once you've done this, I want you to take the snip tool, and I want you to do that. I want you to notice with this image, I can see this one, and this one nice and clearly. I can definitely see all the different sides. I'm going to File, Save As, Line Tool, and I'm going to save that onto my desktop for the moment. But at this point, I'm going to back up. I'm going to shut everything off here. I'm going to right-click, make a new folder. This might be different on Macs. I'm going to title this TEA. And I'm now going to take that and I'm going to put that in the T folder. I want you to have someplace on your desktop where you're putting stuff so that you know where to look for it. In case you have a giant sea of junk on your desktop, you can you can know where to save things. Okay. Now, once you've done this, I want you to go onto your Google Drive. And let's see. Let's shrink that down a little bit. Find your folder from my class. We'll do that one. Take it, drop it right in there. This is the folder that you have shared with me. Okay. So that when I go into here and I find a second period class, I find all your folders, I click on somebody's folder, I can find your work. Hello, John. So this folder I have put on the desktop so that while I'm working, I can save to that folder. And then from that folder, I can put things into the folder on Google Drive so that Mr. Olson can check my work. So at this point, if you haven't already done so, you should pause the video, rewatch this little portion of the video where I was working on this little bit, and then do this part before you go on to the next part of the video. Okay? So as I move forward, I should only be talking to students that have already submitted that first photograph into your folder. I'm going to Control Z all the way back, and I'm going to put myself into that position again, which I believe was like this is what you would see when you brand new open. Please don't share SketchUp files with me. You need to share photographs because, like I said, it's going to take me. In fact, I'm just not going to grade them. If I see a SketchUp file, I'm just not going to grade it, and I may or may not send you emails because I can't be sending off 100 emails every day for students who are not following directions, which is a good thing for me to point out right now as well. I need you to be very careful and follow all directions. Okay, because if I'm having to resolve a third of my students' issues simply because they're not following the rules very carefully, it's on YouTube. You can rewind this as many times as you need to. You can be careful and be specific. Okay? All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to learn about the rectangle tool. With the rectangle tool, you can grab an object or click one spot, click someplace, and also give it dimensions. Say I basically clicked, and then took my hand off the mouse. Okay, nothing's on the mouse. I'm not touching the mouse. I'm going to reach down to my computer and I'm going to type 5, 5, enter. Ooh, it disappeared. Anybody hazard a guess as to why that disappeared? The reason it disappeared is because it's 5 inches by 5 inches, and I've zoomed so far out that you can't see it. But it's there. It's just so small at this point that it's not that it didn't appear to be there, but it is there. So if that seems to be happening at some point, be aware of that as a possibility. That if your work seems to disappear when you give it dimensions, it might just be that you are looking at it from the sky. Like I'm looking at this from an airplane right now. It looks like I didn't make it, but it's there. Okay, so with the rectangle tool, backing up, when you click on something, click again, you can then give it dimensions. I can say 1.75, which you can see is showing up in the bottom of the screen. But I didn't click there. I didn't go down there and click in that spot. I just made the rectangle, and now I'm typing 1.75 comma 3.275, enter. And it makes it very specific. 1.75 comma 3.23684. I'm just giving it some random measurement. Okay, you could be very specific with these things. Now, because you guys chose woodworking inches, some of you have, I know one person has simple inches, but one way or the other, you're talking about inches. You don't have to type the little inch, little quotation marks for inches. Simply just typing in a measurement, it's going to assume inches. So if you want 5 feet, then you either need to type 60 inches, or you need to do 5 with the feet indicator, which is an apostrophe. 5 apostrophe will get you 5 feet. If you type 5 mm, by the way, it's going to get you 5 millimeters. Or 5 cm will get you 5 centimeters and so forth. I'm probably starting to confuse you at this point, so I'm going to slow down a little bit. One way or the other, I want you to recognize, as I Control Z my way out of this, you click on a rectangle, you click, you take your hands off the mouse, type 6 comma 6, that's going to get you a 6-inch square. That's a 6-inch square. Okay? I've chosen this now, the push-pull tool, and I am, for some reason it wasn't selecting that. I had pushed the escape button out of habit, but I'm not sure why that was. See how it changed, it became a little dotted thing? That's telling me that it's about to do something there. And I click and pull up, take my hand off the mouse, type 6, enter, and now I have a 6-inch by 6-inch by 6-inch cube. Okay? Let's see. Trying to figure out how to... I'm pushing the space bar so I can get the select tool. Actually, I can talk about selections later. Right now, what I want you to do is I want you to try to put your screen in this position right here where it looks even. See, this is like right in the middle. These are all basically triangles. They all look the same. And I want you to take a screenshot of that. I'm going to do File, New Snip. I'm going to do that. I'm going to File, Save As, Cube. I'm going to go to Desktop, and I'm going to look for TEA, and I'm going to save it into the T folder. Close that. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm not going to save changes to that. I'm now going to open the T folder, and I see that my cube is there. I'm going to go on to my drive, which was drive, and I'm going to find I'm going to find a random, there we go, Centerville T. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to bring this thing down here, and I'm going to drag that in here. So you are actually going to obviously be dragging that into your shared folder. So the next time I go in to look in your folder, I should see 3 things in there. I should see an image that you already put in there before, showing me your desktop, showing me that you have SketchUp available to you. I should also see these 2 images, and I should be able to look on them and quickly check them and go back and check the other one and go back, and it won't take me very long. If I see a SketchUp file here, I'm not going to grade it. Okay? All right. We're going to keep it really simple at this point. I'm going to say that I need you to do this work by Wednesday night at midnight, and let's just see whether we can get everybody going on a nice, basic, simple couple of photographs that you need to share with me. If you want to move forward, you're welcome to do that. You want to play around with this. If I'm moving way too slow for you and you want to learn more, good for you, because then it's just going to be easier for you to do the assignments. But I need to be wary of students that this might be a little bit difficult for. So we're just going to stick with those two things for right now and have this to me by Wednesday at midnight. Everybody needs to have 2 images in their folder. All right. Thank you very much. Bye bye.